Yin and yang, night and day, light and dark, parts of a whole that cannot exist without the other. There is no life without death, no growth without decay, no pride rock without the hyenas. The circle of life requires each cog to keep spinning. Unfortunately for the lions, the hyenas are one such cog. But what on earth do those laughing atrocities contribute? In a previous video, we discussed how allying himself with the hyenas was Scar's fatal mistake. One point that drove it home was the fact that when elevated to the top of the food chain, the hyenas reduced the Pride Lands to a desolate wasteland so far removed from the bustling savanna it used to be that it was sort of depressing to even see in its animated form. It's no secret that the hyenas are the antagonists of the Lion King. Scar might be the big bad, but he wouldn't have gotten much done according to his plan without them. The detrimental effects of their partnership aside, they were essential to the plot of the film. But what if they were essential to so much more than that? The opening number of The Lion King is not one that will soon be forgotten by the masses. As the sun rises on the African savanna, the words of "Circle of Life" grace our ears for the first time. And we hear, repeated throughout the song, that the circle of life moves us all until we find our place. We then follow little Simba as he wakes Mufasa up to teach him perhaps the most important lesson in the entire film. Everything you see exists together in a delicate balance. As king, you need to understand that balance. Mufasa explains that when the lions die, their bodies return to the earth and allow the grass to grow. That grass then feeds the antelope, who are then eaten by the lions in the ceaseless circle of life. The phrasing is simplified without a doubt, but the concept holds true. We live, we die. We fertilize the soil of what we eat, in turn allowing it to live so that we may consume it. But surely the lions could get something other than the antelope, right? We see loads of animals in the opening number that the kings of Pride Rock could undoubtedly chow down on. So does that mean that certain members of the Circle of Life aren't as important as the others? Well, yes and no. Take the game of rock, paper, scissors for instance. You see, no one item in the game reigns supreme over all the others. Paper, which is able to wrap around and conquer rock, is susceptible to the cutting powers of the scissors. Scissors, while able to split apart paper, are vulnerable to being crushed by the humble rock, which we've already established can in turn be bested by paper. It's a closed loop, an endless cycle, one that goes on and on and on, not unlike the circle of life itself. But players get to choose what item they play in a game of rock, paper, scissors, while the circle remains unchanged. The factors within it can be controlled. If you never played scissors, the rock will never crush you. So, what if we got rid of rock? Aside from the fact that paper scissors doesn't sound quite as fun of a game, the mechanics would be completely thrown off too. Scissors beat paper in every matchup. It doesn't matter how many times you play it, the outcome would be the same. Scissors beat paper. And without rock to crush it, scissors never lose. That's no balance. It's an unfair game no matter how you play it. Either you're stuck in a stalemate or the one who picks paper is bound to lose. But there aren't any stalemates in real life. If a lion fights another lion, the stronger of the two wins. In a sense though, the real circle of life does a mirror game of rock, paper, scissors. Think about it. What would happen if we remove the lions from the equation? First, what role do the lions even play in the circle of life to begin with? If you've ever seen The Lion King, the answer is obvious enough. The lions are the top dog, carnivorous animals that eat other animals in order to sustain themselves. In real life, lions are apex predators that do no different. In the fictional world of the film, however, where the wild African savanna is a species-segregated monarchy ruled by the elite lions. The lions also ensure that everything runs smoothly, though we never see the inner workings and responsibilities of the royal family of the Pride Lands. We're going to assume that they actually do other things other than lounge around and commit regicide. The extended canon of The Lion King tells us that the monarch is expected to uphold and protect the principles of the circle of life throughout the Pride Lands. The Lion Guard, a concept not explored in the original film, often led by the second-born child of the monarch or their younger sibling, is tasked with aiding this goal. This is primarily done by keeping any threats, such as large foreign predators, out of the Pride Lands, preventing them from causing an imbalance in the circle of life. If the lions didn't exist, there would be no one to protect the borders of the Pride Lands. Predators from far and wide would be welcome to turn the savannah into their own personal hunting grounds, disrupting the circle of life within the Pride Lands to the point that it would collapse. We see a version of this in the film where Scar allows the hyenas free reign of the prey of the Pride Lands. In a few short years, the beautiful world we're introduced to in the opening number is reduced to a dying wasteland, all because of the balance of the circle of life was thrown off. The hyenas aren't meant to be on top. That disruption led their world to near ruin. So, if we get rid of the lions, things get real ugly real quick. But what if we got rid of the hyenas instead? Second to Scar, they're the biggest threat. In fact, we learned that they were banished from the Pride Lands in the first place because of the unsustainable appetites and, frankly, wasteful hunting methods. If we get rid of them, they can't disrupt the balance of the circle of life. Unfortunately, that's not quite true either. Think about what a hyena does. No, we're not talking about the giggling, menacing while plotting the death of lion cub. Hyenas, like lions, are carnivores, but unlike lions, hyenas aren't nearly as picky with their food as their royal counterparts. Hyenas are the vultures of the feline world. They're selfish, they're scavengers. They lurk around all things shrouded in death and strike when the rest of the world has turned away. Where the rest of the animal kingdom sees only a lifeless husk of a once majestic being, the hyena sees something it can take, its next meal. However, it is this selfish act that completes the circle of life. Mufasa tells Simba that when lions die, they become the grass, but it's the hyenas that allow this to happen, as it's the digested remains of the lion that are broken down enough to fertilize the soil, and no one else is eating a dead lion. Perhaps that explanation alone is enough for you to understand why they're so vital to keeping the circle of life chugging along. By consuming the leftovers of the kills of other predators and the animals that have succumbed to death by other means. The hyenas serve as a cleaning crew of sorts. Without them tidying up the cafeteria of the circle of life, the Pride Lands would be ripe with rot and disease, flooding the masses with internal threats that the Lion Guard would have no hope of combating. While the Kingdom of Pride Rock is organized enough to have a monarchy, we don't have high hopes for their medical technology. To be clear, the hyenas are still evil. Their custodian gig isn't really a moral pursuit, rather a side effect of their selfish ideology. They take everything they can get. It just so happens to help the natural order. It's when they take too much that they become detrimental. But when confined to the scavenging the remains of others, they're indisposable. The hyenas cannot be allowed to lay waste to the prey of the Pride Lands. That much remains true. But they can't just be wiped out either. Like the lions, the antelope, and the grass, the hyenas play a crucial role in the circle of life. They're the cleanup crew. Just as the world we live in today would be near uninhabitable without the sanitation sector, the Pride Lands would be a really disgusting place to live without the hyenas. So, as long as the custodians of the savannah are permitted to selfishly devour all the leftovers they see fit, the circle of life continues. Let us know what you think about the hyenas in the comments below, and we'll see ya in the next one.
Run. Run away, Scar, and never return.